You know Maui. Everyone knows Maui now. He's the huge one, the mountain of a demigod with the magic fish hook and the animated tattoos, who talks about himself in the third person and tells a teenage girl on a boat that everything good in her world was his idea. Disney's Moana made him one of the most recognizable mythological characters on the planet. Here's the thing. A version of Maui really has been told for centuries across the Pacific. And the Maui of Maori tradition, the telling from Aotearoa, New Zealand, the one this channel works from, is a stranger, sharper, and far more haunted figure than the one in the film. Not bigger, smaller actually. And that difference is the whole story. Start with the one thing the film got quietly, profoundly right. There is no single Maui. Maui is the great trickster hero of Polynesian mythology, not of one island, but of the whole ocean. In 1949, the scholar Catherine Luamala published an entire book about him, about how many of him there are, and she put it flatly, there is no single true account of the events in Maui's career. Each island, each community, each narrator tells somewhat different versions of his biography. Think about what that means. This is a hero maintained in parallel, for centuries, by dozens of separate island nations, each keeping its own Maui, shaped to its own coastline. From island after island, Luamala wrote, we have reliable references to Maui, and the forms they take tell you how deep he runs. Sometimes it's a long cycle of stories. Sometimes it's only a genealogy with his name on it, a real family, tracing itself back to the trickster. Sometimes it's just a statement that his footprint can still be seen on the reef. Not once upon a time, his footprint, on our reef, here. So the film's Maui is a composite, a blend of features from many island traditions stitched into one character. That's what adaptations do, but it means the film's Maui belongs to everywhere and nowhere at once. Tonight we hold that composite up against one specific tradition, the Maori telling, and watch what changes, because when you swap the remix for one people's actual telling, the character transforms. In the film, Maui tells Moana his origin in one bitter line. His human parents took one look at him and decided they didn't want him. They threw him into the sea. The gods found him, took him in, and made him Maui. Hold that against the Maori telling, because this is the beat the film kept almost intact, and it's older and stranger than the movie version. In the tradition, Maui is the last born of his mother Taranga's sons, and he is born too soon. A birth so premature the telling calls him stillborn, and his mother wraps the tiny body in her topknot, in her own cut hair, and gives him to the sea. In Gray's 19th century record, Maui himself tells it, I was born at the side of the sea, and was thrown by you into the foam of the surf, after you had wrapped me up in a tuft of your hair. The seaweed caught him, the telling says, the surges of the sea rolled him. And then an ancestor, Tama-nui-te-rangi, saw the flies and the birds gathering and caught him up and carried him to his house and revived him. That is why his full name is Maui Tiki-tiki-a-Taranga, Maui of the topknot of Taranga. His name is the story of being thrown away. So yes, the film's abandonment is real, but in the Maori telling it isn't a backstory beat to explain a need for approval. It's the engine of everything. The discarded child who comes back from the sea and spends the rest of his life taking on the sun, the sea, and death itself, as if daring the world to throw him away again. Now the look. The film's Maui is enormous, a wall of muscle and swagger, twice the width of any human in the frame. He fills the screen. That's the joke and the charm of him. The Maui of Maori tradition is the opposite kind of hero. He is the youngest, the last born of the brothers, the little one at the end of the line. The tradition's own summary of him, as the Encyclopedia of New Zealand puts it, is a series of superhuman labors pulled off by the last born, not the strongest, the cleverest, the one who wins by trick, by patience, by nerve, by enchantment, not bulk. Gray's telling gives him one physical superlative, and it isn't size. It's what he carries. In the film, Maui's power lives in his giant magic fish hook. The gods gave it to him. With it, he shapeshifts. Without it, he's nothing. Losing it is the film's whole crisis. The Maori telling also arms Maui with one enchanted object, But it isn't a gift from the gods, and that difference matters. It's a jawbone, the jawbone of his own ancestress, Wenua. In Gray's record, Maui asks for it directly. I was anxious that thy jawbone, by which the great enchantments can be wrought, should be given to me. And the answer comes, take it, it has been reserved for thee. Sit with that image. The film's hero swings a divine weapon. The tradition's hero swings his grandmother, the bone of his own family line, reserved for him before he was ever thrown into the sea. In the Maori telling, power doesn't come down from the gods. It comes up through ancestry, through the people you descend from, handed to you because you are theirs. The film kept the hook. It lost the family. Two of the film Maui's boasts are straight out of the tradition, and the tradition's versions are better. The sun. The film's Maui claims he slowed it. In the Maori telling, this is a full military operation. Maui and his brothers spin and twist ropes into nooses, travel to the pit where the sun rises and ambush it. The ropes snap tight, and then Maui beats the sun with the jawbone. Gray's record is vivid. Maui strikes him fiercely with many blows, and the sun, weak from wounds, creeps slowly along its course ever after. Our long human days are, in this telling, the limp of a beaten god. The islands. The film's Maui pulls islands from the sea with his hook. In the Maori telling, he pulls up one very specific thing, the North Island of New Zealand. He fishes it up with his enchanted hook, pointed, Gray notes, with part of the jawbone of Wenua, the grandmother's bone again, the same relic that beat the sun, now baited for the biggest catch in any mythology. And up it comes, floating, in Gray's words, the fish of Maui, a portion of the earth of Papatuanuku herself. The Earth Mother from our last video, the one Tane pushed the sky away from, and here is her descendant, hauling a piece of her body up out of the sea for people to live on. To this day, the North Island's name in Te Reo Maori is Te Ika-a-Maui, the fish of Maui. That is not a nickname. It is the tradition printed on the map. Millions of people live on the back of that fish. This is where the film and the tradition shake hands. When the movie's Maui says he pulled up islands and slowed the sun, in Aotearoa, that's not a boast. It's geography. The film's Maui transforms with a war cry into a giant hawk. Big entrances, big wings, big everything. The tradition's Maui shapeshifts too, into a pigeon, and the story where he does it might be the most intimate in the whole cycle. Maui, the thrown-away child, wants to know where his mother disappears to every morning. So he hides her clothing, follows her, finds the hidden cave she vanishes into, and changing himself into the form of a pigeon, flies down through the dark to the world below, where he finds his parents' village. He lands, and he is a bird among people, watching his own family from a branch. In Gray's telling, he showed himself to them, transformed into the semblance of a pigeon, and down he went, into the cave, after the mother who once gave him to the sea. Not a hawk screaming across the sky, a pigeon quietly following its mother home. The film made shape-shifting a superpower. The tradition made it longing with wings. There's a whole Maui adventure the film never touches, the theft of fire. In the Maori telling, fire belongs to Mahuika, an ancient ancestress who keeps flame in her own body, in her fingernails. Maui, being Maui, decides the people need it. So he puts out every cooking fire in the village overnight, then volunteers to fetch new fire from Mahuika and tricks her into handing over a burning nail. He quenches it, comes back for another, quenches that. The encyclopedia account counts the toll, nail after nail, until all her fingernails and all but one of her toenails are gone. Push a trickster far enough and the world catches fire. The last nail sets the land burning, and Maui himself has to flee, scorched by the pursuing flames he unleashed. What finally saves everything, in Gray's record, is the weather itself. Tauhiri Matea, the storm god, the grieving brother from our Tane video, sends heavy, lasting rain, and the fire of Mahuika is quenched at last. One family note, the storm god putting out the fire grandmother, while their trickster descendant runs for his life. Māori mythology is one enormous household, and in the last moment before her fire is gone entirely, Mahuika saves a few sparks and throws them, to protect them, Gray's record says, into the kaikomako and a few other trees, where they are still cherished. That is why, in this telling, rubbing the wood of those trees gives fire. The trees have been keeping Mahuika's sparks ever since. Every fire lit from wood, in this way of seeing, is the old woman's treasure coming out of hiding. The film's fire is a lava monster to be defeated. The tradition's fire is a grandmother's last treasure, hidden inside the trees, put there because a clever boy pushed too far, and now the difference that swallows all the others. The film's Maui walks off into more adventures. He's a comeback story, humbled, redeemed, airborne, fine. The Māori Mythology dies. He dies attempting the one theft bigger than fire or daylight. He tries to defeat death itself. He goes to Hine-nui-te-po, the great goddess of night, the same figure whose own story we told in our video on Tane, the dawn maid who fled into the dark and became death. Maui's plan is the trickster's logic taken to its absolute end, to pass through the goddess's sleeping body and come out alive, and by doing it, to break death's hold on every human being forever. The stakes of this one trick are all of us. His companions are warned, whatever you see, stay silent. And at the worst possible moment, watching the little hero crawl into the body of the night, one of them laughs. She wakes, and, as the record puts it plainly, she crushed Maui to death, bringing mortality to humankind. One laugh. That's the hinge the whole ending swings on. Not a sword, not a storm. A giggle at the wrong moment, and death keeps its power over every generation since. And here's a small, sharp detail for the comparison. The film calls its hero a demigod in nearly every scene, like a title on a business card. Gray's record, written down in 1855, 160 years before the movie, uses the exact same word. Maui tiki tiki a taranga, the demigod who deceived Hine-nui-te-po, and it was from this, Gray writes, that death obtained power over mankind. If she had not been woken, men would not have died, but would have lived forever. The child thrown into the sea came back and beat the sun, hooked the land, stole fire, and then bet his life that he could beat death the same way, for everyone. He lost, and in the telling, that loss is why every human life still ends. You can see why a family film left this out. But without the death, Maui's story has no stakes. It's a highlight reel. With it, it's one of the great arcs in world mythology. The trickster who won everything except the thing that mattered, and whose one defeat is written into every deathbed since. We told that full story, birth to death, in our first video. This is what it's actually about. None of this is a complaint about a cartoon. Adaptations compress, composites sell. And if a Disney movie is the door through which 100 million people first heard the name Maui, that's a door worth having. But a door is for walking through. On the other side of it there's not one Maui, but many. A whole ocean of tellings, each island's own. And in the Maori telling, the one from Aotearoa, you find the version the film could never hold. The stillborn child wrapped in his mother's hair, the grandmother's jawbone that beat the sun, the pigeon in the dark, following its mother home, the sparks hidden in the trees, and the trickster dying in the body of the night goddess, one laugh away from ending death forever. The remix is fun, the original is unforgettable. The full Māori Mythology story, and the story of Tane, whose daughter became the goddess who ended him, are both on this channel. Walk through the door,